Welcome at iWelcome again. This is Marco Venuti, VP Product Management. Let's look at the first demo pill of our capabilities. The demo pill number one is what we call Rock and Enroll, which is around how we deal with brand identity and the diversity that we need to capture out of a customer requirement to properly model the way they want to interact with their consumer base. So let's look at again our fictional company Insure Group, and as we detail in our intro video, they are selling their product through different brands. And those brands are different not just because of the logo, but also in terms of user experience they want to deliver. For instance, the registration process when I get to insure car is defined by the need to include the email address and a policy number. Why that? Because behind the scene, there is a lookup in some policy management solutions to validate the matching between that user and the current contractual position. Very different if we pick another example, for instance, Insure Home, where the experience is determined by since the beginning, a question regarding the consent on privacy and in terms of service. And as declared by the text, it will also feature a lookup, in this case, from an external identity validation solution, which is the IDIN, the banking company managed identity validation solution run in the Netherlands. Again, what we're assisting here are form of different validation. One is an inbound validation, meaning through some internal service lookup, and in this case with IDIN, an external validation. Not necessarily validation is always involved. For instance, if we look at Insure Life, the registration process is not including any whatsoever validation, but apart the one from the phone number. Why that? Because at the later stage, we want to use that for 2FA. Maybe that's what we should be doing. Let's start doing a registration as Insure Life consumer. So we might want to drop our email address here, which is williambarrow@insuregroup@gmail.com. This is, of course, a fictional email address for the purpose of this demonstration. Let me just tweak it a bit. And let's add the phone number. In this case, let's use an Italian phone number, which is mine. Okay. Signing up. That will determine the fact an email is being sent as for validation reasons. I can continue the registration, clicking on the email, and of course the template and the logo and the rendering of that email is part of the process, is part of the configuration process too. At the same time, I'm also getting a short text message with a validation code that I can put back into the screen to proceed with my registration. And now I can set my password. And there we go. That concludes the registration process, or at least brings us to the final part, which is where we need to type in our personal information. Barrow is insurance policy number, gender not saying, country Switzerland maybe, and again, just for making the demo easier, I pre-populated some of the values here. And as part of the registration process, I also need to express my consent on terms and conditions. That will conclude my registration process, and I'm now good to go for the login page, which will be the demo pill number 2. Thank you for listening to us.